So my presentation will be on the good practices of the Employment Agency of Niger with the support of some financial and technical partners. To start with, I would like to show you the image of our young brothers, the risk they take to cross the desert. Why? Just to improve their living condition. You see how they are hanging on that car, and that is in the desert. So, my presentation will be on three great points: the context, the role of the NP in the deployment of the migratory policy in Niger, and prospects on the management of migration. Now, regarding the context, Niger is not a migration country, but it is a transit country. It is one of the countries that's most hit by the phenomenon of its junction nature places it at the center of migration for migrants who are seeking better living conditions. Here is a map of Niger. Our neighboring, it's a landlocked country with a surface area of 1,676 kilometers square. Our neighbors are Algeria, Libya, Chad, Nigeria, and this geostrategic position of Niger makes Niger a transit country for migrants and a return route as well. The socioeconomic situation of the country makes it that this situation doesn't offer many opportunities to the youth and the women, and this situation is such that Niger is also a departure country, and the security crisis around the country in Libya, Nigeria, and so on makes it such that Niger is a country that hosts migrants and asylum seekers. According to National Survey on Migration of 2011, the migrant population is 1,996,164. Over a million migrations have been recorded in the country over the past 5 years. That's an average of 228 migrants per year. International migration to and fro stand at 871,004. So it comes back to what I said earlier. People transit through the country, and migration within the country stands at 269,000. The report on the statistics of migration of labor in Africa in 2058 places it at 178,332 number of migrants for Niger. That is 88,641 men and 89,691 women. This is a migratory movement. There are three kinds of movements. With internal movement, that's from a town in Niger to another one. There we realize two attraction poles, Niamey and Agadez. There is movement to the outside world with Niger as a departure country, and movement from a third country to another third country with Niger as a transit country, and the reception of migrants expelled from Libya. These migrants will have to transit through Niger before going back to their countries. These are some figures from the IOM. This is in the north and south of the country. Migration management. These are the consequences of the management of migration, whether it's managed properly or not. If migration is managed well, it can contribute significantly in filling the gaps in competence, the lack of competence, and the shortage of labor in host countries. It can also contribute to economic growth of countries of origin through remittances, knowledge, and competencies. Recently, I read a World Bank report that talks of 8.5% growth on the remittances. So remittances in 2017 stood at $476 billion. It can also contribute to the creation of new jobs through self-employment, and it can also contribute to a more organized society oriented towards the development of the country. Now, if migration is poorly managed, migratory flow can have a negative impact on states and the well-being of migrant workers, national security, and even regional security. There is brain drain, the creation of new transit ways which places their lives in danger. I remember in Niger in 2015, Niger voted a law number 2015/36 on illicit trafficking of migrants. This law helped migrant transits to be stopped or reduced from 5,500 per month to 5,000 a year. However, the consequences is that migrants or smugglers have found other ways to go around that, because it is the military and the police that are monitoring these routes. So these smugglers are looking for other routes, and this creates a lot of damage. And I remember in 2017 there were 40 people who died in the desert, including women and children. Now, if migration is poorly managed, it can develop insecurity in the country, moral decadence, and so on. In Niger, the migratory policy is managed by the Ministry of Internal Affairs, but ANPE intervenes in two ways: introducing foreign labor in Niger and operations on Nigerians working abroad. In Niger, all what concerns introducing foreign labor is managed by the National Agency for Job and Promotion. It is the labor code that gives this right to the ANPE. And the labor code provides in Article 48 that every employer who decides to bring a foreign worker, must have a work visa, must obtain a work visa, and the authorization is at the National Agency for the Promotion of Employment. Even though it is the Minister of Employment who gives the authorization, it is through ANPE. The second point is to apply even when the visa is granted. The law obliges the employer to give a terms of reference in which the employer intends to keep the post operational even after the expiry of the visa. And thirdly, These are contracts of foreign workers signed by ANPE. In 2017, it was 424 workers. In 2018 is almost 150% increase, because 1,204, and 2019 814. In 2018, the increase is due to the fact of the organization of the AU summit, when Niger constructed many buildings and Niger was obliged to seek foreign expertise. Active policy of the labor market for refugees. On 31st May 2008, ANPE and the International Committee for Emergency Aid and Development and the ACR signed a convention to improve access to employment for refugees and asylum seekers, thanks to judicial obstacles. So the ANP also has to take care of the social integration of refugees. Now, in 18 months of implementation, there are some results. Support in training in job search techniques. 40 refugees have benefited from this. 39 refugees have been sent on internship. 5 refugees have been recruited, and 2 advocacy workshops were organized with employers for professional integration of refugees. There is an operation of recruitment and sending of Nigerian workers to Saudi Arabia. On the 5th of June 2015, an agreement, a 5-year period for domestic workers for Niger and the Saudi Arabian counterpart was signed in Geneva. So ANPA was given the follow-up of this agreement. It is within this framework that some measures were taken to ensure the best conditions, decent working conditions for people retained. The Geneva Protocol that was signed considered as the only text for the implementation of actions. Compel private placement agencies of Niger to Saudi companies to take all charges on the recruitment, transport, feeding, and lodging of these migrants. It is following this that 1,867 persons were sent to Saudi Arabia. That's 585 drivers and mechanics and 1,009 house girls and domestic workers. Many Nigerians have been repatriated because of the non-compliance with the rules of decent work. Now, as for prospects, we have the Youth Employment and Inclusive Production Project, funded by the World Bank, with a total amount of $30 million, that's 15 billion CFA francs. PEGIP will contribute to improve the access of unskilled youth in rural areas in carrying out revenue generating activities. The project started in February 2019, and it will touch 40,000 youth from 40 councils from the 8 regions of Niger, and will target as a priority youth from poor backgrounds or who are prey to insecurity in rural and semi-urban areas. For that, there will be the creation and equipping of 40 offices of community offices, because ANP is found only in headquarters of regions, between the 8 headquarters of regions. With this project, will be in councils, and the project would will help ANP to create 40 offices and recruit 40 councillors who will be in charge of animating these offices. PGIP will be implemented through many components, including productive inclusion of youth in rural areas, integration of youth in activities selected in semi-urban areas. There is a project strengthening policies of the diaspora of African countries and the Middle East, carried out by the IOM and the International Center for the Development of Migratory Policies. So you have 2 minutes. So this project would set up a bureau, an information bureau, and it will be a one-stop shop whose mission is to provide information to Nigerian migrants who wish to participate in socio-economic development of Niger. Thank you for your kind attention.